Hello, I'm Kiana Bridges, and this is my channel. I really hope that life is treating you well. Today marks a week since the election, and never in my life have I been political. Didn't grow up that way, barely even knew what politics were. But since the election, I have felt emotional and down and just scared and a fear of impending doom. Granted, I do have anxiety, but I've never had anxiety when it came to politics, anything regarding that nature, and it's really hard. It's a hard time, and I just want to cover a couple things. Disclaimer, my views are against the person who is now going to be our leader. And if that upsets you, then that's understandable, because the world is divided right now. Every time, it's really scary. We shouldn't be divided, but we are. If you don't agree with what I have to say, that's fine. Please don't be disgusting or rude or nasty about it. If you don't agree, just click off and leave. If you feel like you need to leave a comment, just make sure it's not disgusting or nasty, because like I tell people, make sure you can take what you dish. Kamala is not our president, but she's still our vice president at this active moment when I'm making this video, and I think she ran a really great campaign, in my opinion, and with the short period of time she was given to prepare for it, and I'm proud of what most of America saw in her. What I'm not proud of is the way that we handle situations and the way we let people brainwash us, or should I say the way some people were brainwashed and are still being brainwashed. And there's so many people I know who were so pro-Trump 2016, even 2020, and now couldn't be so opposite of him. It's not even funny. They're not even for Kamala, but they know they're not for Trump. And that should just tell you a lot. I want to sit here and be like a news channel and just sit here and be like, Trump's bad and here's all the bad things he's ever done. That's not what we're really sitting here to do. Anyway, I'm just going to cover a few things. I don't want to talk about too much. There are so many things I want to say, so many theories, so many opinions I have on things that have happened with this election. A lot of them I'm not going to say with you on both sides. It's not just one-sided, but there's just a lot to learn, a lot to think about. And as always, in a situation like this where the country is divided, always do your research on both parties and always do your research on what's going on no matter what you believe in. Just always stay educated. That is the main thing, especially when you're voting. Please make sure you know 100% what you're voting for, not what your mom's voting for, not voting just because your friend told you to do it because it's cool. Knowing what you're voting for and being passionate about it. Our country is, when I say our country, I mean United States of America. I feel a sense of impending doom. I feel really nervous. I feel really scared for what is in store. Because this wasn't just about politics, and it's not about religion either. And I know for some people it is, and that is okay. That's what makes our country great, is you're allowed to have freedom of religion. Or at least you're supposed to. I seriously am scared. Because this wasn't just about who's going to be our next leader. This is about who's going to be our next leader and the next person who's allowed to appoint other people to have control over what happens in this country. That's the scariest part. It's not just that this person is now in office or will be in office, but who they create. I mean, with AI these days, yeah, I think I said that right. With who they appoint to now control the government. It's a scary time. Our democracy, whether you think it is or isn't, is on the line. Like, it really is. And like I said, I've never been political. I never cared to be political. The last year and a half, I have just really gathered so much information, some intentionally, some unintentionally. It just kind of happened, and I'm scared. And for the well-being of mostly everybody in this country, but especially minorities. One of the things I really want to discuss is when Donald Trump loses or when he wins, it doesn't matter which way the coin turns, there's violence. The people that support him are violent, they're chaotic, they're disgusting people. Now, when people say Trump supporters are racist, this, that, and the next, that's up to you to feel if you feel like that's true, but what is obvious and blatant is there's violence and hatred driven behind his campaign. Scary to think that these people voted for something basically because they hate a group of people. When this country is supposed to be a melting pot, it's supposed to be about loving and accepting different people who come from different religions. different ethnicities, different race, different sexualities, different genders. But now it's become a civil war, or it could possibly become one. And I'm not the type of person to sit here and induce panic, but you should be just really aware of what's going on. Like I said, no matter who you voted for, what you believe, please stay educated on what's going on in the world. There is too much happening right now for you to just sit back and go, not my circus, not my monkeys, because this is a circus and we're all the monkeys. So we need to know what's going on. What happens, whether he wins or loses, there is an abundance of violence and chaos towards particular groups of people. And whereas I don't hate anybody who voted for Trump, I definitely see people differently, especially with this particular election. There was just so much on the line and so much on the table. And a lot of people I know weren't really for Kamala or Trump, but they really did not want him in the office. And that's how I have felt for the past few elections. Is it's hard for me to really pick a side, which I don't like doing. I'm not that Republican, Democrat, blue, red. I don't get on board with all that. For me, I look at who looks like they have a better judge of character and who is speaking like an educated person and who would be somebody that I would want to aspire to be. That's one of the few of the things I look at when I'm, deciding who I want to be in control of me. I'm not sure why people see the violence and the chaos and think that that's good for our country, especially the hate crimes that happen when he's around. And sometimes it's not even just him personally, but the way the audacity that people get when he is the president. The people get the audacity to be racist and act on it. If you want to be racist, if you want to just not think that, if you think that the color of someone's skin defines their worth, then keep that to yourself. You don't need to be disgusting. You don't need to be nasty. It's stupid. Keep it to yourself. I've always been told in my life, you attract what you are. What you are will be who you surround yourself with. And all the people that I know around me that I called friends, family, that voted for him, I don't hate you, I don't dislike you, but I do see you differently. And it sucks, but that's the world we live in. And that just goes to people in general. I don't hate anybody. That's a really strong word, but I do strongly look at you differently. Democrats, and I don't like labels. When it comes to government politics, I don't like saying Democrat or Republican. But people who voted for Kamala were being called cringy because we cried, because we were upset that she lost. Well, we voted for her and she didn't win. So were we supposed to do backflips and go, oh my God, yay, she lost? Like, I'm just confused at how else we were supposed to react. For one. For two, yeah, because a lot of rights are on the line. The democracy, the whole makeup and anatomy of the government was at risk with you-know-who being you-know-what. And in case you don't know, that I meant Donald Trump being the president. It's really scary. But we're called cringy because we cried that she lost. But to me, and I want you to tell me, what's more cringy, us crying that she lost, or you who voted for you-know-who when he lost in 2020, storming the Capitol and causing chaos, violence, and even death? Which one's more cringy, crying or causing literal death? I want you to explain that to me. The hate that is spread by his supporters, whether he wins or loses, is so stupid. Why? Like, there's no reason for it. But we're cringy because we were upset. Now, I'm not speaking for everybody. There might be a Kamala supporter that punched somebody in the face. I don't know. But I just know for the majority of what I've seen and what I've talked to with people around me is we've been very more standoffish to the people that we know that voted for him. We're not hating them. We're not texting them, telling them they're stupid and they're ugly and they should die. We're not saying anything crazy like that. It's more of a, I'm over here and you're over there. Things that I always thought in my mind was, there are a lot of issues in the country. There's a lot of issues in the world. And people who are uneducated or ignorant to how the government works, and I feel like that's the majority of America, even me, I don't know everything about the government. I did not do well in that class in high school. But don't you think with all the things that are wrong in the country and the transition between Republican and Democrat each term, it's going to take more than 4 years, maybe even 8 years for a president to try to pass all of the great things they want to pass. in that time frame. There's a lot of things wrong with the country. We might be this amazing country to other countries, but we do have a lot of things wrong. 4 years or 8 years, I don't think is enough time for one person or their team to sit there and snap a finger or wave a magic wand and be like, all right, all these issues are fixed. I mean, it takes work and stress. Did you see the way Obama looked when he was in office? Obama is a great looking man, but when he was president, he looked like he was so stressed. And now that he's not president, he looks amazing. Like, that's a hard job. I always say to myself, when there's somebody judging me at my job that's never done what I've done, okay, come over here and do it then. Since you have all these great ideas and you know what to do, then do it then. Okay, you can't, exactly, so shh. I do think that a lot of politicians, the people who run for president or whatever they run for in elections, they overpromise, knowing darn well that just because they get in that office, just because they're in that office doesn't mean they're going to be able to do their list of things. They can definitely try. Trying is all you can really do. But what happens after that, you don't really have control over. The president is not the person that makes all the final decisions. It has to go through Congress. I think some people forget that. But I do think that people overpromise 100% when they're running for president. They're telling you everything you want to hear. Although sometimes they tell you things you really don't want to hear and they do things you don't want to see. But they're going to tell you what you want to hear. It's called propaganda. And people fall for it all the time. Both parties. I'm not just singling one person out, but historically and traditionally, that's just what you do. You say what you need to say so people vote for you. It's going to take time for a president to do what they need to do. Just like people sit there and say Biden and Kamala didn't do anything for this country, whatever. I mean, that's your opinion, I guess. But this year alone, a lot of the things that they wanted to do and accomplish just now started to really fall into place. It takes time. It really does. And I don't think people realize there's not a Harry Potter wizard wand in the office that they wave and say, all right, that's fixed. That's just not how it works. Another thing I keep hearing Trump supporters spew, and it's so annoying, is you guys are mad at us because we didn't vote for her because she's white and because she's a woman and she's black. But you're mad because she didn't win because she's a woman and black. No, we're not mad that a woman, let me rephrase that. We're not mad that a black woman did not win. We're mad that a convicted felon won. We're mad that somebody who's been accused on several occasions of SA won. We're mad that somebody who wants to change democracy and basically have control won. We're upset and scared. It's not even anger, it's sadness and scared and nervous because this person wants to change the way the government works to make sure they have power. We're upset that you guys don't see that and all you see is this, which that's not gonna happen. You think the economy is gonna change? No. No. That's all people see is money. They have a blinders on for money. There's 50,000 Mr. Krabs in this country. Money, 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 money. That's all they see. They don't care about who it's going to hurt as long as they live in a mansion and have 500,000 different groceries in their freezer. I agree. I think this country needs a lot of help. We need a lot of help. In our country, we need a lot of help. But I really don't think our new president is going to be the person to do that for us, especially when there's going to be a lot of rights taken away from people. It's pretty much the opposite. You guys are like, he's going to protect us. That's the opposite of what's literally going to happen. The absolute opposite. Do I sit here and say Kamala would have literally protected all of us? I don't know. But her campaign definitely made it seem a lot better than his did. And she wasn't literally saying that if you vote, you will never have to vote again because she's going to change democracy. As I'm editing this, I realize there's 2 points I did not cover in this that I wanted to mention is Donald Trump himself literally said, quote, if you vote this time, you won't have to vote again because it'll be fixed so good you won't have to vote. Fixed being the key word, people. That should scare you because voting is what makes us a democracy. So think about that, please. The other thing was, somebody said at his rally, they spoke at his rally saying America is for Americans and Americans only. But is it though? And if it's for Americans only, then why do billions of dollars go to other countries helping them with war and poverty when we have our own issues over here that stem mostly from financial issues? There's just so much to think about. Like I said, no matter what side you're on, there is just too much to think about and research. And people saying, can I change my vote? No, you can't. You had the chance to make the right decision, or you had a chance to make a decision, and you chose your decision. So live with it. That's what you wanted. Keep that energy. Another thing I hear people say is, well, we need this person to be president because our cities are bad, or my city has a lot of crime, or our schools are bad. This is why we need this to be the president. If your schools are bad, if there's a problem in your city, you know there's things in city council meetings. There are other elections that go on in the U.S. other than presidential. Governors, senators, mayors, all of that, excuse my nasaliness. You can be voting for other city, state leaders. You are allowed to have that voice and voting for those people. So if you're complaining about your cities and stuff, vote for those people that help keep your city safe. Something I feel very strongly about is the people that died for this country to make it what it is today, at least the positive parts. We're very ungrateful for that. We're very ungrateful that there are so many people, especially during the civil rights movement specifically, but so many people who died because I ran out of storage, but what I was trying to say is we're just ungrateful for the blood, sweat, and tears that people put into this country to make it what it is. And I think we're entering a time where we now have to be those people that might have to risk our lives to make sure that the basic rights that humans deserve stay on the table, and to make sure that our democracy stays and we don't lose that right to vote. And it's really not just a right, it's a privilege. It's something that I think we take for granted. I also want to make sure it's known I'm a biracial woman. I am white and black. My mom's white, my dad is black. And there's just so many things that are important to me. And like I've said, if I have family who voted for Trump, I just look at them differently, but I don't hate anybody. Closing, no matter who you are or how you feel about the election, who you voted for, you should always be doing research. And not just on your side, on both sides of anything that you're researching on. Especially if you're doing an argumentative research type thing, make sure you have all your facts for both parts of the argument and both parties. Just research, just know what's going on. You should always know what's going on in your country, in your state, in your city, just what's going on around you. Being educated is very important and underrated. That's it. Be safe, hope for the best for our country for not only 2025, but just in general, because I think we're in for a very, very scary time. Peace.